Once upon a time, in a kingdom far, far away, a queen gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. The boy was incredibly fair, with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony. They named him Snow White. Tragically, the queen passed away shortly after giving birth to him. The king was heartbroken, but he had to remarry to secure the kingdom's future. His new queen had a son from a previous marriage, who became Snow White's stepbrother. This stepbrother was deeply envious of Snow White, not just for his striking beauty, but also for his intelligence and kindness, which made him beloved by all. The stepbrother's jealousy grew with each passing day, could not bear to see Snow White being admired and cherished by everyone in the kingdom. Desperate to get rid of him, he devised a sinister plan. He approached the king and suggested that Snow White should visit his aunt in a distant land for some time. The king, trusting his new queen's son, agreed. The stepbrother then summoned a huntsman, commanding him to take Snow White deep into the forest, kill him, and bring back his heart and liver as proof of the deed. The huntsman, though bound by his duty, had been loyal to the old queen, and could not bring himself to harm Snow White. Deep in the forest, he confessed the plan to Snow White and let him go, urging him never to return to the palace. The huntsman then killed a wild boar and took its heart and liver to the stepbrother, pretending it was Snow White's. Snow White, now alone and frightened, wandered through the forest. He faced many dangers and hardships, but never lost hope. One day, he stumbled upon a tiny secluded cottage. He knocked on the door, but no one answered. Exhausted and starving, he entered the cottage and found some food in the kitchen. After eating, he noticed the cottage was in disarray. Snow White, being naturally tidy and helpful, began to clean the place. As he worked, the birds and animals of the forest gathered around him, sensing his goodness and lending their assistance. By evening, the cottage was spotless. That night, the 7 dwarfs who lived there returned home. They were astonished to find Snow White asleep in one of their beds. When he woke up, Snow White explained his plight. The dwarfs, moved by his story and his gentle nature, invited him to stay with them. Snow White gladly accepted and quickly became a beloved member of their household. He helped them with their daily chores, and in return, they taught him the ways of the forest. Meanwhile, back at the palace, the evil stepbrother grew suspicious. He had a magic mirror that he often consulted to learn about the kingdom's affairs. One day, he asked the mirror about Snow White and was shocked to learn that Snow White was still alive and living in the forest with the 7 dwarfs. Furious, he decided to take matters into his own hands, prepared a poisoned apple, and disguised himself as a humble farmer. He then set out for the dwarf's cottage. When he arrived, the dwarfs were away working in the mines. Snow White, being kind and trusting, welcomed the disguised stepbrother. The farmer offered him the apple as a token of gratitude for his hospitality. Snow White, unaware of the danger, took a bite. The poison worked instantly, and he fell into a deep sleep. The dwarfs returned home to find Snow White lying lifeless on the floor. Devastated, they took him to a good wizard who lived deep in the forest, hoping he could help. The wizard, known for his wisdom and powerful magic, examined Snow White. He used special herbs and incantations, placing the herbs on Snow White's forehead. Miraculously, Snow White woke up. He recounted the visit from the disguised farmer and how he had been tricked into eating the poisoned apple. The wizard, using his mirror of truth, revealed the true identity of the farmer. It was indeed the evil stepbrother who had poisoned Snow White. Armed with this knowledge, Snow White, the 7 dwarfs, and the good wizard returned to the palace to confront the king. They presented the mirror of truth, which showed the stepbrother's treachery in full detail. The king, overwhelmed with anger and sorrow, ordered the stepbrother to be thrown into the dungeon for his heinous crimes. Realizing Snow White's bravery, intelligence, and true nobility, the king decided to make him the ruler of the kingdom. Snow White accepted the responsibility with humility and determination. He moved into the palace with the 7 dwarfs, who became his trusted advisors and friend. Together, they ruled the kingdom wisely and justly. Under Snow White's leadership, the kingdom flourished. He implemented fair laws, ensured justice for all, and promoted the well-being of his subjects. The 7 dwarfs, with their unique skills and knowledge, helped Snow White in various ways, from crafting new tools and infrastructure to maintaining peace and harmony in the realm. The good wizard remained a close ally, offering counsel and magical assistance when needed. Snow White's story of survival, kindness, and triumph over evil spread far and wide, becoming a beacon of hope and inspiration. People from neighboring kingdoms came to witness the prosperity and happiness of Snow White's realm. They marveled at the unity and cooperation between Snow White and the 7 dwarfs. Years passed, and Snow White continued to rule with wisdom and compassion. He never forgot the hardships he endured or the friends who stood by him. The bond between him and the seven dwarfs grew stronger with time, and they remained inseparable. In the end, Snow White and his friends lived happily ever after, their lives intertwined in a tapestry of friendship, courage, and love. The kingdom remembered Snow White not just as a fair and just ruler, but as a symbol of the power of goodness and the enduring strength of true friendship.
And thus, the legend of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was cherished for generations, a timeless tale of overcoming adversity and finding happiness against all odds. The moral of this story is that being kind, brave, and good-hearted will always win over jealousy and evil. It shows that helping others and standing up for what's right are important. The story also teaches that friendship and working together can help us overcome tough times and find happiness.